the Radio Wammo Breakfast.
The Academy Cinemas Pick of the Week with John Henderson.
I'm here at the International Space Station, the place I always wanted to be. And I look outside and I can see Earth. And there's no sign of trouble. Just pure peace and beauty.
Space Tourists is the name of the film we're looking at. It's the Academy Pick of the Week. John Henderson has been and seen it. Good morning, John.
And a great little documentary it is. Good morning, Wammo. Well, when she was looking out at Earth, she obviously wasn't looking at the Germany-Spain game.
Which you've got one eye on right now, I know that.
Yeah, I have actually. 10 minutes to go, Spain beating Germany 1-0. Who'd have thought? Anyway, back to the movies. And yes, it is the start of the International Film Festival.
Ah, it is too, yes.
Kicked off on the 8th, which is today. So very excited about that. And this movie, Space Tourists, is on at the Academy a couple of times over the festival period, and it's well worth a look. So it's actually in 3 bits. When I was reading the blurb in the Film Festival magazine, I thought it was going to be mainly about this Indian-Iranian businesswoman, Henderson, who for a cool $20 million gets to go on the International Space Station for 8 days, which is pretty cool if you've got that sort of cash to throw.
Yeah.
And so the first third of the movie is really about her. It's just about the training she had to undergo and the reason she wanted to go on the space station. The whole idea of going into space had fascinated her since she was a child, so she was rapt to actually be given this opportunity to do that. And it doesn't really go on about where she earned her money or anything like that. It is just about one of her dreams and how she achieves it. And then from there, and some of the footage in space is just brilliant. You know, as you heard in the trailer, she's cleaning her teeth in space. What you don't realise is she's actually in she's in zero gravity as she's doing this. So she's sort of curled up in a little ball, and whilst the camera's on her and she's cleaning her teeth, she rotates through about 800 degrees. It's just incredible.
Did she go up with NASA or with Russia?
She goes up with Russia.
Right.
So the whole idea of the space tourism is a scheme that the Russians have come up with because there's just no money being invested in space now.
Yeah.
And it's about 40 mil I guess that's 40 million US to send a rocket to space each time they do it. And they used to fire one off every week. So what they've come up with is a novel idea. They get tourists to partially fund each launch. So, I mean, 20 million pays for half of the whole program. So that's where this idea has come up from. I think she was one of the first, and it was so successful with her that they've started to roll people up and send them pretty much every month.
So is it just about her, or is it the wider kind of fascination from a distance with space and space travel?
It is the wider fascination. The first third of the movie talks about the Russian space race and how for so many years, especially during the Cold War era, the Russians really felt they had it over the rest of the world because of Sputnik and the fact that they were there first. And there were huge communities just devoted to sending rockets into the stratosphere. And that all collapsed with the fall of the Soviet Union. And this documentary maker, Jonas Henderson, he spent quite a few years putting footage together. He's only a young guy himself, and he sort of explains the fact that, yes, while there used to be a big space race, he shows you around some of these old towns, and it is just exactly as you'd imagine a classic post-war Russian town to be. It's just all big concrete slabs, monolithic sort of statues. But the thing is, everything's got a kind of space slant on it. So you've got a MiG-17 flying around a rocket. You know, this is in the town square. You've got all these incredible mosaics of sort of guys looking up towards the heavens and staring at the stars. So it was the real focus. And he was saying, there used to be hundreds of thousands of people devoted to the space race, and they were living in these towns, and the towns were put in the middle of nowhere because the Russians just wanted it to be kept top secret. So, of course, once the program finished, all these people were displaced. So there's this sort of human side to the space endeavour as well, which was really interesting. But what I found the best about this movie was Anusha Suri. She loves being in space so much, she just wants to make it affordable for the average person. So she was one of the people that sponsored the project about 3 or 4 years ago. They were going to give $10 million to the first company or group of people that could send a rocket into space and get it to land safely back on Earth.
Yeah, would that be the XPrize or something?
Yeah, the XPrize. So she was heavily involved in that, and so the movie sort of goes on and talks about the XPrize, and that ended up being one. And I think Virgin Galactic was founded based on the technology. I mean, Richard Branson's hoping to make a bit of cash off the idea of sending people into space as space tourists. But it'll be all bells and whistles and frills, and it'll be all very cool. But there's this new prize out now, which is to actually get a rocket to the moon, go for a walk on the moon, and then come back. And apparently there's some huge prize money for that too. So towards the end of this film, you're talking to guys that are designing rockets and trying to compete in that competition. So it was a lot more than just seeing somebody go up to the space station. That was a great piece of the film, but it was really all about space flight. It's fascinating.
Great. It's screening as part of the New Zealand International Film Festival, initially in Auckland at the Academy Cinema on the 11th of July, then the 13th of July, and then finishing up the Rialto on the 9th of July. And
space tourists, don't dream it, be it.
Thanks very much, John Henderson.
Nice one. Cheers, mate.
For some, these rockets are literally a gift from the heavens.
Sometimes people criticize me for spending a lot of money on a dream. But how do you put a price on a dream? Is it worth dying for?